Well, at least one Colorado playoff hockey series got off to a good start. Eagles win over the Wichita Thunder 2-1 in overtime of Game 1 of Round 1. For the most part, this was a fantastic game for the Eagles all the way around, but things started off a bit slow. Even though these teams played each other not too long ago at the end of the regular season, they definitely were feeling each other out for the first 5 or 6 minutes. To slow things down even more for the Eagles, they take the first penalty of the game 3 minutes in, but they do manage to kill it fairly easily. Then all of a sudden they hit 6 minutes into the game, and like a light switch, everything just flips on and both teams open it wide up and start flying up and down the ice. You get a chance one way for Wichita, a couple of chances for Eagles back the other way, then Wichita gets it back deep into Colorado's zone. And in playoff hockey, sometimes just one mistake is enough to give up a goal. Unfortunately, it would be the Eagles that make the first mistake here. The trouble starts as Milosh collects a puck along the near boards and he tries to cut out and skate it up towards the center of the ice, but as he's stick handling, the puck rolls off of his stick and back into Wichita possession. From there, they kind of just poke it along across the blue line up towards the far point here. It's not a very clean play, but the Eagles can't get their stick on the puck, and you're going to see a little bit of discombobulation from the defense down low as well. Boutet comes into the zone at that far point and just throws it on net. Kanata makes the initial save, but you can see he lets out a juicy rebound here that Milosh can't turn and cover, so it leaves a pretty wide open net for Bauer to throw it into past Kanata. So not a great start for Milosh rejoining the Eagles for the first time since very early in the season. You give him a little bit of an adjustment period to get back to the Eagles systems and things like that, but in the playoffs he does not have long to figure it out. So you're down 1-0, not ideal, but not the end of the world. A bit later, Wichita takes their first penalty of the game and you have a chance on the power play to even things back up. You don't manage to do so, but you do get some good chances on net, and you're starting to gain a bit of momentum. After that Eagles power play opportunity, we see the game slow down a lot for the rest of the first period. The Eagles do the majority of the puck possession, but a hard forecheck from Wichita has them struggling to get through the neutral zone. And while Wichita isn't really turning any of that into quality offense, it's preventing the Eagles from doing so as well. This slower play lasts 5 or 6 minutes, and then the Eagles draw another penalty out of Wichita with about 4 minutes left in the period. Unfortunately, this one doesn't even look as good as their first opportunity, so they don't really show very well, and we take the 1-0 deficit into the first intermission. Still very much in the game here. The Eagles come out in the second period and dominate the entire period. In fact, Wichita only gets 2 shots on goal across the entire 20 minutes. In the first quarter of the second period, the Eagles get a number of chances, but they just aren't hitting the net. Too many shots wide, too many attempts fanned on. It just wasn't going to where it needed to be. And unfortunately, this gave Starrett a lot of confidence in net for Wichita as well, and he would continue to stand on his head through this entire game. Now, while the Eagles did dominate the period and Wichita only got 2 shots on goal, one of those shots was a little bit spooky. It squeaked through Kanata and was sitting right on the goal line, but somehow it managed to stay out and the 1-0 deficit remains. A game of inches, I guess. While the Eagles weren't converting their chances early in the second period, it did lead Wichita to get a little desperate defensively. They end up taking another penalty 6 minutes into the period. And once again, the Eagles' power play looked a lot like the first one they had. A couple of good chances, but they just weren't finding ways to beat Starrett. The middle section of the period, it did get a little bit sloppy for both teams. You saw the puck get caught up in the neutral zone quite a bit, and the Eagles do end up taking a penalty at about the halfway mark, but once again, they have no trouble killing it off. That penalty kill gives the Eagles momentum, and they really poured on for the last 8 minutes of the second period, getting a ton of shots on goal and a ton of offensive pressure. Wichita basically goes into a full turtle and are just happy to get it out of their own zone whenever they can. It felt like almost every single player on the Eagles had a grade A opportunity, including for sure Nantel, Jolie, Bodan, and Olsen all had really good looks at a yawning cage, but somehow Starrett would find a way to get over and keep the puck out of the net. At the end of the second, the Eagles had outshot Wichita 14-2 in the period, and when you account for missed shots as well, the domination was even worse than that. But They don't have anything to show for it. Still down 1-0 after 2. So you head into the third period, and the first 5 minutes of the third was probably the scariest part of the game. It was the only time where the Thunder really controlled play and spent most of the time in the Eagles' zone. It was a bit scary to see the Eagles back on their heels because they were the team that's down with less than 20 minutes to play, but Kanata looks solid in net, and they managed to weather the storm for the most part. And right when it looks like they're going to get out of it, they take a penalty. But the good news is the Eagles' PK appears to be really solid in this playoff run as they make it 3 for 3 on the PK, and that helps swing momentum back to them as they can start pushing for offense again. With Wichita's pressure petering out and the Eagles coming on strong, that leads to Wichita taking a penalty 10 minutes into the third. Your fourth power play of the game, you're down by 1 with less than 10 minutes to play. This is where you need someone to step up. And this is where your veterans come up big. Maybe the most experienced player on the Eagles is going to be the one to finally beat Starrett. After entering the zone, Drayson Bowman goes deep with the puck and gets it up and around to Jolie, who then plays pitch and catch with Register at the point while Bowman circles into the slot. Once Bowman gets in position, Jolie's going to try and walk it in a bit, looking for him. He does eventually center it, and Bowman does a good job redirecting the initial pass on net. Starrett makes the initial save. You have both Brady Shaw here and Drayson Bowman collapsing in on the rebound. Brady Shaw looks like he touches it. Bowman does as well on a second chance opportunity. Starrett even makes the save on that one, and it takes a third chance to finally beat him. And there we go. An Eagles player gets the goal, not by a skill goal or anything by that, simply by persevering, staying strong on the puck, and not quitting until he forces that puck into the back of the net. For those that don't know, Drayson Bowman has played 180 games in the NHL and over 260 games in the AHL, so he has a ton of very high-level pro experience, and he was able to get the job done here in the ECHL. Obviously, that level of experience for a veteran is on the extreme end, but those are the type of guys you add to your roster that really help you when you need it in a playoff push. So now it's a brand new ball game, and you just have 9 minutes left to play in regulation, tied at 1. After the goal, the ebb and flow of the game, things slow down a bit. Neither team wants to be the guys that make the next mistake. But once we got inside the 5-minute mark, it almost seemed like both teams remembered this was a playoff game, so playing for the overtime, it means nothing. They open it back up again, and we start seeing chances go back and forth. With time winding down, the tempo was maybe the highest it had been all game, with both sides absolutely flying up and down the ice, but both Kanata and Starrett were up to the task to keep pucks out until the buzzer at the end of the third. There's just something special and pure about playoff overtime hockey. It's still 5-on-5, you're still playing straight up hockey, but that impending doom of it being the next goal wins just adds to the intensity. That feeling in the pit of your stomach on every chance, it keeps you at the edge of your seat. The first couple minutes of overtime was a lot like the end of the third. Very high tempo, but neither team could beat a goalie. Then the Eagles get caught taking a bit of an unnecessary slashing penalty. Not ideal to go on the PK in overtime when they could end it with just one shot. But based on the earlier parts of this game, the PK has been a strong point for the Eagles, so honestly I wasn't too worried. I mean, I was a little worried because it's overtime, so there's just a constant state of worry, but you know. And oh boy, was not being worried underselling what happened. I should have been extremely confident. The Eagles figured, why kill a full 2-minute penalty when we can just win the game on a shorthanded goal? Good work by two veteran defenders here from the Eagles. First, you're going to see Colin Bowman get his stick in and deflect a pass, and it's going to come right to Matt Register. Once Register collects it, he quickly realizes the situation. Beaudin does as well and starts to fly the zone, and Register makes a nice little chip pass perfectly up into the neutral zone where only Beaudin can get it. Beaudin finds his stride, flies past the defenseman, and then just walks in, pulls it hard to the backhand, and puts it up over Starrett. Boom goes the dynamite. Beaudin showing why he was drafted in the third round by the Avalanche in the first place with a sweet little backhand that just filleted Starrett. Of the younger Avs prospects here with the Eagles for this playoff run, Beaudin is the one most familiar with the Eagles system, and he comes through huge for them here to get the win in Game 1. And while the scoreboard shows a close game, this was really a fantastic game for the Eagles. You outshoot Wichita 39-14, and if not for an incredible performance by Starrett, you win this game easily. You keep up play like this, and Wichita should be no trouble for the rest of the series. That is the end of this playoff game video review. Thank you for watching. Both the Avs and Eagles are back at it today, the 16th, so we'll have a twofer of videos coming up for you soon. I'm Rudo3, and I really need to get me some Eagles gear.